Holy fuck, it's 2020. When did that happen? Yeah, a lot has happened since I started these reviews. Maybe I owe an update to you viewer people. I've changed location. My college has suspended in-person classes out of caution for a COVID-19 outbreak elsewhere in the state. Now I'm taking my classes online from home. That basically means that I'll be spending a lot of time in this room. Will I have more time than usual for playthroughs? We'll see. I am safe and healthy, by the way. Thankfully, the virus hasn't hit the United States too hard as of March 2020. It's not as bad as it has been in Europe and China, but we'll have to see how the situation develops. Hopefully, the current precautions will be effective in averting a more widespread pandemic, and we'll be able to resume our lives as normal in time. With that out of the way, I'll get on with the game. Cyberchase the Quest 4, Stop the Stormerator. This final chapter of the Quest series released in August of 2009, quite a while after the other chapters. This is the most unique installment. The developers had a lot of time to build a new experience from the ground up. It's an all-new art direction with different characters. Everyone, this is my precious daughter. I don't know what her species is, and I may have neglected to name her, but that doesn't matter. I will love and protect her. Flash games improved greatly in their presentation between 2004 and 2009. With newer versions of the Flash plugin and better bandwidth on home networks, it was feasible for this game to have a number of fully animated cutscenes, and the video quality is much better than that in the previous games. The animation and sound are about TV quality, if not slightly less. As impressive as the presentation is, the developers were clearly working around restrictions on time and resources. They only got one major character to come in and record full lines of dialogue.
Hacker has already set up some nasty weather bots at 3 cyber sites, and oh boy, are they causing problems.
And of course, they got stuck with Inez, the one with the obnoxious voice. If it were Matt or Jackie, it would be more tolerable to have only one character in these long exposition videos. Inez mentions that I should look out for Hacker's lackeys, Buzz and Delete, even though I've played through this quest multiple times and they've never impeded me.
And watch out for Buzz and Delete. Hackers told them to keep an eye on his weather bots.
This could be an idea that the developers forgot to implement. This first cutscene is way too long for a relatively short game. She feels the need to explain most of the on-screen buttons at once. I know what a map is, okay? The basic plot is Hacker has made these various machines that interfere with the weather. There's one that makes the air very hot in a certain cyber site, and there's one that messes up some wind patterns. I disable the weather bots one at a time, and I try to get to Hacker's base to stop him before he completes his big bad evil device, the stormerator. That's actually a unique and perfectly serviceable plot, as far as tie-in games go. This quest has a grand scale and a sense of urgency that I didn't get from the others. Hacker, an archetypical cartoon villain, is actually doing something verifiably evil and very dangerous for once. This quest ought to be more intense than a skateboarding competition, at the very least. I'm optimistic about the premise of this plot. Let's see where it goes. So I ride my space-mobile to the first site. Immediately once I land, Inez pops up on my screen and gives a detailed explanation of everything that I'm supposed to do in this site.
Problem is, Hacker put a wind bot on the turbine and stopped it. Now, Panglia has no electricity. The turbine is on top of Icicle Peak. A gondola will carry you to the top, but it isn't working because there's no electricity.
She doesn't even give me a minute to look around or figure out anything. Now that she's gone and spoiled everything, I know that I'm looking for a wind turbine. I tried asking this polar bear, and she gives a whole long, condescending speech that nobody needs.
Do I detect that you need my help? And you're in a rush? True or false? Everyone is in a rush these days. True. Young people need to stop and think once in a while.
In the previous quests, I had to answer questions from non-player characters to get certain key items. They'd usually ask about 3 questions at a time, and I'd have to get a certain number right to get a pass. For Quest 4, they took this already simple premise and completely decimated it. The game presents the bare minimum of content for what you could consider an educational game. Now, NPC only ask 1 question per interaction, and the questions are all multiple choice. They nixed the anagram questions. Frankly, it's obscene. Today's kids barely have to do any work to win a wind turbine. 1 click and they're done. It's one matter to decrease the amount of educational content in a game. This game is even more egregious for the fact that the few questions in the game are poorly written. A few fail to be informative on any level.
True or false? Lightning never strikes the same place twice. Oh dear, that's not the answer.
Now, you might say to yourself, well, actually, the lightning rod on the Empire State Building sustained 25 lightning strikes in 2019 alone, making your claim, how you say, empirically false. Nope, fake news. Lightning rods are a Masonic conspiracy. They are a ploy to install surveillance antennae in every American city, which started in 1752 when Benjamin Franklin invented electricity. What we call lightning is actually not at all harmful to human-made structures. The electrical potential in a cloud dissipates long before it reaches the ground, because air is a very poor electrical conductor. Okay, now that I think about it, that question was pretty woke. Bad example on my part. There are other questions in this game that straight up do not make sense. Exhibit B.
True or false? Evening fog will not burn soon. Often true, because the air at night stays cool.
That was not a sentence. You can't tell me that that was a sentence. That was an arbitrary string of words. So I get my damn turbine. As in the other quests, there are many clickable fixtures that play short animations. In quests 1 through 3, these were a major part of the exploration mechanic. I had to click on certain background assets to get certain items, some of which were requirements to win. These are purely decorational. They have no utility. Graphical glitches! We have those! The character's size changes depending on the scene and the distance from a supposed third-person vantage. When I change scenes, her size is completely wrong for 1 frame. I've complained a lot about the questions, but they're not all bad. My user-made character lends a lot of charm to these interactions. They made the bold decision to give the main character a voice for the first time ever. Introducing a vocal main character to an established game series is often a hit-or-miss endeavor. But here, it works wonderfully.
Hi, can I ask you some questions?
Oh, yes, please.
Which of these can use wind to make electricity? Yes, that's the answer. Inez asked me to give you this wind gauge. You can use it to measure wind strength in different parts of Pangaea.
Thank you, thank you.
See you around.
Bye-bye.
She is so fucking adorable. Do you understand me? So I get this damn protractor or whatever the hell. I go around measuring wind speeds, and I set up the turbine at the area with the fastest wind. That turns on the gondola, which takes me to the top of the mountain. I press exactly 1 button to deactivate the wind bot, and that's it. This entire cyber site has less than 5 minutes worth of gameplay. Of course, it takes much longer than that to actually play through, because Inez refuses to shut up, and she makes me listen to her needless explanations. First, there's her whole long introduction at the beginning.
Someone will give you a tool you can use to measure wind strength in different places.
Then she explains the wind gauge.
Check how far the wind pushes the yo-yo. The farther it pushes, the stronger the wind.
Every time that I note the wind speed on the map, she gives one of 5 rewordings of the same blather.
Is that the strongest wind in Pangaea? You should try more places to be sure.
She then tells me to find the strongest wind for the 7th time.
Now, go to the place with the strongest wind and set up the turbine there.
Yes, Inez, I know how to type 1 digit and click a button. That's all that I've been doing for the past few minutes. She tells me to ride the gondola, which I already knew.
Now there's enough power to run the gondola so you can ride to the top of Icicle Peak.
When I've done all of that, she interrupts me just to scream in my ear.
Yay! 1 weatherbot down, 2 to go.
I was hoping that it would never come to this, but here we are. To find the next weatherbot, we're going to have to set foot in Tucson. Inez is already slurring her speech like an Arizona native, and she doesn't even have to set foot in the place.
Hacker's hotbot turned up the heat in Sensible Flats. It's usually pretty hot here, but now it's sweltering. You need to shut down the hotbot, and fast! To shut it down, first find out what the normal temperature is for this site. Enter that temperature into the cyber key. Then put the key into the hotbot.
I hate almost everything about this cyber site. I hate the drab color scheme. I hate the way that the people talk. I hate their semantically empty statements.
Yeehaw! You got it! I heard a rumor that Hacker hid some kind of important gizmo inside the hotbot.
Okay, you're telling me that the hotbot is a machine that Hacker made. He's the bad guy, by the way. And, that's somehow important to my quest? What? And I'm not collecting anything interesting in this site. So far, I have a towel, a thermometer, and a sheet of paper.
Do you know how hot it is here? It is 20 cyber degrees hotter than normal. Here, I wrote it down for you.
For most of the time that I spent in this cyber site, I was just walking around aimlessly and waiting for these 2 characters to spawn in different places so that I can talk to them.
That skunk Hacker put that hotbot here. Answer these here questions correctly, and then I'll be able to help you.
Once I finally find an interactable NPC, I have to sit through their whole long dialogue and answer a question. They don't even give an item every time.
Strange things been coming out of Tumbleweeds lately. I wonder if it has something to do with Hacker.
I had to talk to this one character at least 3 times. While I'm waiting around, I can click on this button to check on Hacker. Why is this game so sparsely populated? In other quests, I got items from several different characters that appeared in set locations in a much larger world. This design is extremely lazy. The developers artificially inflated this game's length by making me walk around waiting for these 2 characters. This cyber site has one saving grace, in the form of a certain chef character. I freaking love this guy. Why is he always yelling? Is he deaf? Is he putting on an extremely forced imitation of an ambiguous French-Italian accent?
Oui, that is correct! You are a genius! Here is some water. I don't know why you need it, but Inez asked me to give it to you.
It doesn't matter. Whatever it is, it's hilarious. Now I have the required items. I cool down the cyber key and find the bot in a tumbleweed. Inez breaks her silence just to be a nuisance.
Enter the normal temperature. Then put the cyber key into the hotbot.
I enter the correct temperature, My character briefly turns green for some reason. Okay, on to the next place. This cyber site's visual motif is fog. Hey, wouldn't you know it, it's our old pal Slinkman from summer camp. Hey, Slinkman, what are you doing here? You're in the wrong cartoon. It's the same repeated shtick everywhere where I go. He asks a question about the weather and gives some mundane item to me.
That's right! Here's a thermometer!
Wow, another thermometer. Thank you so much for that. Truly. I wouldn't want my other perfectly functional thermometer to feel lonely. At least I don't have to meander around all 5 screens of this town to find him again. He reappears in the same place after a few seconds. What else is around here? Town Hall looks important. And it's locked. Now I have to trek all of the way back to where I was. By the way, the walking in this game is so damn slow. Watch how long it takes to get across a typical screen. There's absolutely no reason why it should take this long. In a lot of point-and-click games, you don't even have to wait for the character to walk all of the way. They automatically move to the next screen when you click in that direction. Any competent game designer knows that a section like this is needlessly tedious. It just gets in the way of gameplay. Once I click into the next screen, the game has already decreed that my character will go precisely there. It's not like some obstacle is going to appear and stop me from passing from point A to point B. No part of the walking requires my full attention or repeated input, so there's no need to show it at such a length. I eventually find the useless bitch mayor. She asks dumb questions that aren't even about fog.
Well done! Here's a key to open Town Hall.
I get the key, open the office, and start the minigame. If you can even call it that. Look at what it has me doing. I blow a hairdryer on a wet mirror to find the dew point. I then increase the temperature on the thermostat, warming up the air so that the fog stops forming. That was Hacker's big evil plan for Perfecta Mundo. He didn't send a weapon of mass destruction that increases the temperature by 20 degrees to a nearly unlivable climate. No, he lowered the thermostat in one building in this town, and somehow that made the air cold enough to cause a substantial increase in fog. And the fog doesn't even disrupt anything important. It's just a little bit foggy. Why no one in Perfecta Mundo had the sense to fix their own damn thermostat, I couldn't tell you. These slug people are even worse than the useless residents of Ecohaven. They would have had to get together 17 eco-protector pieces and put them together in a mysterious pyramid, which is kinda complicated. Here, it's as simple as pushing one button in your own building. Unbelievable. Unlike the other cyber sites, Perfecta Mundo undergoes a striking visual change after I fix the atmosphere. These backgrounds look great without the fog. That's a nice touch. I will say that this game has excellent artwork. I just met this funny fellow. I don't even know him, but he is just gushing with gratitude.
Now I can paint! I can see the sun and trees and the sky! All because of you. Thank you! Muchas gracias!
Sure, buddy. Anytime. Now that I've dismantled the weather bots, I can fly to Hacker's lair. Nobody is there to stop me once I'm there. I can waltz right up to the big bad machine. I put together the 3 fragments that I got from the weather bots. They unlock the stormerator's main control console, and I'm suddenly playing whatever this is. It's basically the card game Confrontation. I flip over 2 pictures at a time. If they match, I get to eliminate them. The goal is to match all of them. This is the only part of this game that resembles an actual game. When I win, the game treats me to this hilariously awkward animation. Then my character and Inez stand around in silence for an indeterminate length of time. Yes, I truly feel accomplished. So that's Cyberchase the Quest 4. By far the weakest entry in the series, in my opinion. The other games are not perfect by any means, but they have a certain charm to them. You can explore big, interconnected worlds. You can experience interesting minigames that aren't a requirement for the main game. You can talk to a lot of different characters and find out what problems they have. Make a mental checklist to figure out where to get one item that you can trade for a different item that the quest requires. Quests 1 through 3 required a certain amount of backtracking. They offered the chance for me to really scour each area deeply and see whether or not there's any small item that could be useful to me elsewhere. The educational value is questionable, but I think that it's there. Kids can benefit from worded arithmetic problems and trivia about different animal genera. That's what a point-and-click adventure game is at its core. Of course, these aren't the quintessential archetypes of educational games. They are extremely glitchy, and Quest 1 isn't even finished, from what I've gathered. But still, they're in the right spirit. Quest 4 has almost none of the spirit that makes the other quests endearing, despite their flaws. The developers stripped the game's mechanics down to the bare minimum of what you can call a point-and-click game. All 3 of the main cyber sites are small, linear, and completely self-contained. There are no small secrets to find or optional items to collect. I don't have to find one item and then backtrack to where I can trade it for another item that I need. And the game dramatically lowers the bar on the number of questions that I had to answer to progress. Of the questions that I did answer, a few were poorly written and just not educational. To Quest 4's credit, you might point to the fact that it has fewer glitches than the others, and that its few glitches didn't impede gameplay. That much is true. I was able to complete it in one sitting with no hang-ups. Firstly, I hardly count that as a merit. Games should be relatively glitch-free. That's a given. Don't apply the standards of the other games that I've played for this channel, because I've had terrible luck with glitches and bugs appearing to destroy my progress. That's not normal, though it is entertaining at times. So, yeah, for once the developers designed a cyberchase quest that's easy to play through and not highly susceptible to game-breaking glitches. But they did it in the most boring way possible. Of course, there are fewer variables that might interrupt the game's proper functioning when the content is so extremely simple and straightforward and dumbed down. The major gameplay, if you can even call it that, is walking around and waiting for the right character to spawn. Now, Quest 4 did introduce a few innovations to the series. I think that the character design is a definite step up, especially for the playable characters. The background art looks pretty good. More animated cutscenes and better quality audio? Those are a definite bonus, assuming that the two are synchronized. Evidently, these aesthetic enhancements are a part of the problem. This game is all presentation and no content. The developers focused narrowly on making this game look and sound better than the others. The gameplay, which should be their priority, suffered for this. This concludes my in-depth review of the Cyberchase the Quest series. Thank you all for watching. I'm glad to have some closure on this series, and it's been a long 4 months since this series began.